And a good morning to you. It helps if I turn my microphone up. Glad to have you here on the Thursday. 51 degrees. Supposed to get up to like 75 today.
92.
It's way too early in the year for that. I'll go ahead and tell you. February 16th in mid-70s. I'm not ready for that. I need more wintertime. But it doesn't look like we're going to get any. That's okay. We'll take what we got. Isn't that the way you look at it?
Yeah. I mean, God controls the weather, so I'm just going to hang out and adjust.
Whatever he wants to do, I'm here. Just happy that he left me here to enjoy another day.
You young get so mad when you can't play a game, like if it rains it out or gets snowed out or whatever. And, you want to play ball and all this, but when you get older, you realize, wait a minute, I can't control that. Why am I getting upset about something I can't control?
Don't care. I just don't care. It's just another day.
Oh, okay.
Happy to be on this side
Love
of the dirt.
Love it.
Let's see what's going on here. I was refreshing my Facebook page, and I got to dig in a little bit more to the whole thing. We will get to baseball today.
Yeah.
We'll get to baseball.
Ready for that, buddy.
Yeah. I do want to mention this. Sometimes when you make decisions on behalf of an organization or a group, I'm trying to gingerly walk through this.
Is there any way to do that?
That has an effect on that organization or group, and the decision was made based on a personal connection instead of was it the best move to benefit the organization or group.
Yep.
Now, I'm trying to gingerly say that, okay,
right.
because I have to be careful what I say.
Mm-hmm.
But Davidson basketball has always been pretty solid when Bob McKillop was there.
Yes.
He retired.
Yes.
He handed it down to his son.
Yes.
They are 11-14.
Yes.
They are 5-7 at home, 4-6 on the road, 2-1 neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And conference-wise, let's see. They're probably way down there. I want to say they have a conference that everybody doesn't make it.
Correct.
I think it used to be the A10. I don't even know what the crap it is now. So do they kind of ride this out a little bit before they make a change?
Yeah,
but we've seen it happen and not work out. Skip Holtz after Lou Holtz.
Yeah. Well, Skip was kind of I don't think he gave himself enough time at ECU because things were going really well there. He was on the right track and went ahead and made the jump, to the bigger university. And, I say bigger. You went to South Florida, but, the point is he followed the paycheck. And a lot of times – sometimes that just comes back to get you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like your point with, what's going on in Davidson. I think you give him a couple of 3 years to, try to implement the way that he wants to do things. Well, the one thing, anytime you hire a different person, it doesn't matter if they're the son or daughter or uncle or aunt or niece or nephew, they are a different person. So it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You may want, not you, third person, you may want to replicate things as much as possible, but in the end, we are who we are, and we are individualized. And so we all seem, we take things over, have other ideas. Doesn't make them wrong or better. It just makes them other. And, sometimes things have to work out in that process. Duke and Carolina both, are going to go through those things in basketball as well as any other, big program that has a, time to take over. And it's just –
he was a player at Davidson, played for his dad, been on the bench.
Yeah.
He was promoted to associate head coach in the 16-17 season.
Yeah,
joined the staff in 2008. He played there.
Yep.
And I was trying to look. He started 98 of 117 games between 02 and 06. So
it's probably 20 years ago when he started.
So
Yeah,
he
that's right.
he graduated in 06, came to the bench in 08. So he really hasn't been anywhere but Davidson.
Right.
He did play a little overseas in the Czech Republic. Sure. I say when he came back, he had a job with the Bobcats in marketing before he got on the bench here. I just think coaches that make good head coaches have to have a more diverse and rounded experience base of other programs, other styles, other head coaches to really be able to do what you want to do. You can't emulate who your parent is. You know, and one example that comes back to me, and there's an exception to that rule. Tom Brown's an exception to that rule. The late Dan Hardy.
Yeah, Coach Hardy.
Dan was never an assistant.
Right.
Before he got a head coaching job.
Right. He was always head coach.
Yeah. So it's hard to understand how to coach your assistants if you've never been an assistant.
Right.
Because you do have to coach your assistants.
Yes, you do. Well, you should.
Right.
Now, there's it doesn't go on a lot.
I don't mean dominate and dictate.
No.
I
That
coach.
doesn't go on a lot.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. But, you know, Laney, it's one of those things that, you know, a lot of times when you go work for other people while you're trying to get rounded, you know, to be able to take things over one day, sometimes working for other people teaches you more of what you don't want to do.
That's correct.
What you don't believe in.
That's correct.
Than what you do. Now, does that mean that they're doing something bad or wrong? No, I'm talking about the way you formulate the way that you want to do things when you take over. So, like, I was never an assistant when it came to baseball, right? So when I got out of college, I was a JV baseball coach. I wasn't a varsity assistant over at Ford for a year, and then I was head coach at Maiden. And I've always been a head baseball coach since then. Like, I've never been an assistant, right? But the benefit that I had personally in growing up was my father was a coach for over 30 years. And so I was always on a staff or a part of a staff and watched how other head, like Dickie Foster, you know, Jerry Copas, Randy Fawcett, I mean, just go on and on, you know, Nelson Watts, all these guys. And I watched for years. And my coaches in high school, like I studied my coaches because I knew that's what I wanted to do one day. And, you know, how they interacted, the things they said, what they did, how they delivered the message, you know, the content of the message, all these things, right? So it helped formulate kind of who you are and what you believe and, you know, addressing the matters most important to what your philosophy is, but in turn most important to the players and how to help make them better and the coaches. And that's one thing that, you know, that some guys like McKillop have been able to be around, you know, that their whole life because his dad was a basketball coach before he got in college. So he was able to see how his dad did things. The one benefit that I had is I never studied at the high school level, above the high school level under my father. I always did it with other coaches or whatever. And then, you know, when I got back into high school or got into high school ball, I was always working with and for other head coaches in multiple sports. Okay. So to your point, you know, I say let's give him a couple, 3 years, let him get his feet in there, get his fingernails in things, you know, recruit the players that for the vision that he has, because his dad's vision was his dad's vision.
That's correct.
And now
that's kind of what I'm
saying.
saying.
It was good, but
even though Dad's a legend, 33 years into what he did, that doesn't mean that the genetics are there.
Right. Oh, it's just different.
That's
I
right.
mean, how many times, like in your house, we talk about this with my two boys all the time. They are night and day. There is nothing similar about them except I'm pretty sure both of them came from both us. All right.
I understand.
You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
So, but I like him. I think he's a good person. I think he's good for college basketball. Let's just see if this is the right fit. But give it time to – let's get that shoe on. Right now we're just getting our foot in without – you know, let's loosen the laces a little bit so we can get the foot in.
Well, you know, you're seeing it a little bit with Hubert Davis. He did spend some time outside Carolina.
Yeah,
you're seeing it with Shire at Duke.
Yeah, sure.
Now, of course, Hubert did pretty well when he came out of the gate. Shire's struggling a little bit.
Hubert been on the bench for 9 or 10 years, right?
But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm not throwing stones or anything. I'm just making an observation that sometimes that doesn't equal what you came from.
Right. It's just different.
Yeah, and so it's just one of those things that I guess just time will tell about it. Other story, and I found out what the story is behind this. Greg Olson.
Yep.
Greg Olson makes $10 million a year. Okay, and that's because that's what the number one analyst at Fox is paid.
Okay.
So when Tommy comes in, if Tommy becomes the number one analyst, the number two analyst makes $3 million.
They ain't gonna do that.
That means Olsen is looking at a cut if they stick to those figures. Now, the other side of that is that doesn't mean that he might not be shopping. And then the other side of that is Tommy is going to get paired with their lead play-by-play, Kevin Burkhardt, which I like too.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't know if that chemistry is going to work.
Well, they'll have to figure it out over the next year. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Greg Olsen, they're not going to cut Greg Olsen from 10-3. If they do, he's gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He did a great job in the Super Bowl. He's a likable person. He's got a very good personal story.
He's good for the network.
And he's good for football. He's good for the communication to people. People respect him. He's a good man. He does a lot of great things for the community and for the football community.
Always has.
They're going to invest in quality and value. They're not going to say, well, this is our tier schedule. And I mean, this is not a state or government job, right? This is a free, open market job, and the market will dictate the pay. And those two guys, Brady deserves everything he gets.
Yeah.
And so does Greg Olsen.
But after what Olsen did when he got into the league as an announcer, and then the job that he did in his first ever Super Bowl, that may be the way it used to work, but you didn't have the Olsen and Brady caliber type people. They were usually people that were kind of promoted, that were lesser and came up. And so it's going to be hard for them to stick to that. Now, here's the other thing. I think a lot of this is just media making stories out of nothing.
Sure.
Because they got a year to work it out and see what happens.
I mean, but the thing about it is, does anybody really care?
No, I don't care.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is I think it's a relevant topic to talk about things, but I don't.
I'd feel bad for Greg Olsen because of what he's done, what he's brought.
No need to feel bad for him because he has proven that he is quality and he brings value. He's going to get paid on both of those.
And he does a great job when he does, like he does Cowherd Show and some others.
He's steady, he's solid.
You know what you can count on when he comes on?
And he will tell you the truth. He's not going to, dance around things so he doesn't, oh, I didn't really mean this. I'm sorry if I offended. That's not his point.
Well,
he
thinks thoroughly what he's saying before he does it.
Yeah.
He makes sure that he processes.
But the reason he does that is because he is conscious of the audience. He is conscious of, what the surroundings of football, and he understands how to make a point without being a rear end about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree.
And he's just a good person.
Now, Richie's biggest point is hard to believe he's a Miami alumni. Miami's changed
I know
some.
what he's saying.
Yeah, I do
know
too.
what he's saying, but
it's not the Miami of old.
But there have been a lot of really good people. And again, you talked about media before. I think a lot of that was media hype. A lot of this. I mean, when the camera's on something, it draws attention to it, right? Imagine if the cameras never would have been there. Then Richie, or my opinion, or your opinion, exactly what I know what he's talking about, would not be the same thing because we wouldn't know. My thing is, like, what I think people are starting to realize is, when it comes to media, is basically it's just a celebration of elitism.
Yeah.
Instead of reporting facts, they're reporting narratives and excerpts and, these things over here. That's why you'll never see me watch, like, Golden Globes or anything like that. Because, and I'm just talking personally, because I'm not going to watch a bunch of people that think, that they're over here celebrate themselves on my time.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
And so people are figuring out in media, wait a minute, media is supposed to report facts, do fact findings, supposed to, report the truth about things and try to find good stories. Well, instead they're just promoting narratives. And that's why, that league right there, very few people compared to what it used to be are watching. The tides are turning majorly. And what I mean by that is people are starting to get back to looking at things for the value of what you're watching, not the narrative that is being portrayed in the value of what you think you're watching.
Before we take a break, I will tell you that here is another former head coach that's resurrecting his career or trying to resurrect his career at Alabama, Ken Whisenhunt.
Oh, he's supposed to be the head coach of Steelers. He didn't get the job. They gave it to Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, and Whisenhunt
because he went to
spent
Arizona.
the last 2 years at offensive analyst at Penn State.
That's good.
He was at the Cardinals and the Titans, and then he finished a 4-year tenure with the Chargers as an OC. Now he's going to be special assistant to the head coach, which is the rehab portion where coaches move
that's
out
where he needs to
after Saban.
But think about this. Well, you're looking at special assistant head coach there. This could potentially, if things worked out, because there's a lot of similarities between Saban and Whisenhunt on many levels, right?
Yeah.
Whisenhunt just has not been magnified to the level, obviously, that Saban has because of, where things are. But this, you're looking at in waiting type things that are going to start being, looked at now because of the age and, things like that. So, didn't he take them Arizona to the Super Bowl?
I had to go back and look.
I'm throwing that out.
He's had some success, but then it was roller coaster. It could never be maintained.
Which is not his fault because he didn't pick his team.
Right.
Again, it's kind of like saying Andy Reid, he couldn't win in Philadelphia because of this, this, or this. Andy Reid was never allowed to fully implement
and he didn't have
his
a Patrick
team.
Mahomes.
Guess
either.
what he does? Guess what he does at Kansas City?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some. Look at Dallas.
Yeah.
How are we going to blame Jason Garrett for something Jason Garrett didn't do?
Oh, I know.
I don't know, man.
Ken Whisenhunt, he was with the Steelers from 01 to 06.
Yeah.
Then went to Arizona, and I'm looking to see.
So didn't they play the Steelers in the Super Bowl, Arizona, when he was there?
He was a Super Bowl champion when he was with the Steelers.
Yeah, because he was the offensive coordinator, I believe. Is that right?
I'm looking for his record. No, that can't be right because he only went 48-71 in his career as a head coach.
That sounds right.
He couldn't make it to the – he couldn't
there was one year that they were really good. That's why I was asking.
Yeah. I'm looking for records by year. Yes, you're exactly right. In 08, they lost to the Steelers. They were 9-7.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They lost to the Steelers.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right. And then it kind of went south from there.
And then he lost to the Saints in a divisional game. That was his only two playoff runs.
Yeah.
Let me take a timeout. When we come back, I got one more just kind of outside story, and then we'll go baseball. I'm not a Paul Feinbaum fan. I just happened to be running the dial yesterday and catch him, and for some reason he's after Jim Boeheim.
Yes.
And wanting Jim Boeheim to step down. And they were together at somewhere way back in the woodwork. But we'll touch on that, and then we'll go in baseball.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
Welcome back. Hips, turn your microphone on. I am enjoying a delicious sausage and egg biscuit. Biscuit consisting of 1/2 loaf of bread from Brookwood Cafe
Soaked
and
in
Catering.
butter. It's fantastic.
Yeah. You kind of have to have a towel when you put the biscuit down. Let me go ahead and quiet some of these rumors and comments that are coming in. Go ahead and put a stop to this. Andrew said people are starting to realize that they are only given what the camera wants you to have.
Yeah, that's right.
That is very. It's very
That's a good point.
self-fulfilling, self-promoting, or self-destroying, depending upon what the media wants to do with you.
Yes, the narrative.
Michael White, I hate to tell you that this is not an option, but Michael White said, I'm going to try to resurrect my coaching career at the Rembert Ford School of Coaching, which my wife does a large yes. And I'll go ahead and tell you,
There's two
that ain't
retired
happening.
dudes right here.
I'm just telling you, that ain't happening.
So
Nah,
Michael helped me with the Legion team first year or two that, I come back to Hickory. This is, 15, 16 years ago. But we had a great time doing that. That's fun stuff.
Michael and I
We
worked
had a lot
together
of fun.
my first coaching stint at West Lincoln. And then when I left and went to Bunker, when I came back, I think Michael had moved up here, maybe into an AP job.
Yep, at Maiden, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And then
So I think it was at Hickory before that, and then came to Maiden.
the infamous Alan Chapman and I worked together in football.
Yeah, Alan, yeah, absolutely. He's
Chapman's the
coaching
only guy
softball
that I knew of that knew where the 55-yard line was in football.
Yeah. When he was announcing.
Mr. Baseball.
Made it
He's,
to the 55.
he's Mr. Baseball.
Heck yeah.
Chapman is. Steve Peters said, I very rarely appear on TV because I am too ugly and eating.
What?
Yeah, but we did use your comment, Steve.
Oh,
we
dude.
appreciate your comment about why the field was such a mess at the Super Bowl.
Hey. The man
And
knows
he
his
always said,
stuff.
I'm too ugly and ratings go down.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. My wife said, and we weren't getting more than one dog, and there are 5 dogs in our house.
Yes.
And you know what?
She's right.
She's right, but you know what else? How many of them are mine?
All 5.
No. I told Addison when I had to take her dogs out, if her autistic dog runs off one more time and I call him twice and he doesn't come back,
Going back in, baby.
no, I'm dropping him in the road. I said, I'm just telling you. He's an idiot. He's an idiot.
Whoa.
Anyway,
Whoa.
let me move to baseball. Richie
Yes.
said there's a lot of people wanting Boeheim to retire. Well, I'm on the bandwagon. I want Feinbaum to retire because I despise him. I do not like him for any reason at all because I don't mind analysts, but get off being the homer, bud. I don't want to see the homer. I don't need that. Not the position you're in.
God. It's and kind of letting your shortstop or center fielder go is if you're going to promote somebody, it normally takes a couple, 3 years for them to really get their feet in. And when you have the other pieces around you to make a run, and again, there's all kinds of dynamics. And I know Steve is very close to this because, of what he does and where he is.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot more that goes on about things than what, we're privy to or what we know. But, I do know some about it, okay? And sometimes you've got to be willing to invest into productivity instead of throwing a check at hopefulness.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hate that he's gone. So,
okay, let me give you this one. How about the impending bankruptcy of Diamond Sports Group? If you don't know who Diamond Sports Group is, they own Bally's 19 regional sports network.
Yeah.
Now, will not affect fans' ability to watch their favorite sports team, but Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said Wednesday, adding that the league would pick up streaming in worst-case scenarios.
Yeah,
but their subsidiary of Sinclair announced Wednesday that it would skip a February, this blows my mind, $140 million interest-only payment.
Yeah.
Thus enter into a 30-day grace period that would probably lead to a bankruptcy filing. I guess there are 14 teams that are inside of that group with their regional sports network. Has that portion of media kind of played out? Regional sports networks popped up everywhere.
I don't think it's played out. I think that, if anything, it's brought, a lot more viewership on a much more local level.
Mm-hmm.
There's
but something's had to change where they can't make their money back.
Yeah, but that could have been, and I say this and don't know the situation fully, but know some about this, but I'm not going to comment on what I know.
Right.
Okay? I'm just going to comment on
a
couple of things. And that is sometimes when things are being done and companies are making money and doing deals, sometimes a deal a set of activities that goes on before something good comes by ends up hampering the good that they've done while they were trying to invest. Gosh, I hope I'm not in a previous venture to be able to get to where they are, or they branched out on one too many.
Well, here's what happened. Sinclair, through Diamond Sports Group, purchased the regional sports network from Fox back in 2019, $10.6 billion.
Yep.
Company initially borrowed $8 billion to make the purchase and hasn't come close to generating the revenue anticipated, due largely to the rate at which customers have been cutting the cord on cable. So the point that I was making before, if Diamond Sports Group was 100% logistically tied to cable and not prepared to go the streaming route, like YouTube and some of these others, that may be where their revenue streams have fallen off because the viewing pattern, not as much as viewership's down, but the viewing patterns and how they get their programming has changed.
See,
like Sunday Ticket now, is YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what's happened, okay, and it's a natural order of things. But anytime we, look at something like DirecTV, I used to pay $20 a month for DirecTV with all the stuff, right? And now, look, that's 20 years ago, no problem. All right, 25 years ago, no problem. Just follow me. Excuse me, allergies are killing me. So DirecTV starts, they have packages that they can offer where, like HBO and all that, and you can pay extra for that. Well, then all of a sudden, we've kind of cornered it here, so we're going to, have to go up on things because they can. Because cable was kind of on its way down at the time, and that type of streaming through satellite was up.
That infrastructure was different.
Now we've invested in this, and we can do this, and we're going to bring a better picture, so we're going to charge you more. Well, eventually you get to the point like anything else where the value and quality are less than the price being charged.
Right.
So instead of restructuring cost, like me as a former DirecTV subscriber, I call up and say, listen, you guys went up again last year. I have no problem. I know things always go up in price, but this is a significant increase. Plus, we have all these FCC and state regulatory charges and all this stuff for being able. I'm not getting enough out of this for what I'm paying. What can we work on? Well, there's really nothing we can do. Okay, that's fine. Just cut it off. Well, no, we'll cut your bill by 50% for 12 months and then get back on regular billing cycle. Now, I wasn't calling them up to do that. I wanted to make sure that the value and quality of what I was getting was equal to the price I was paying. You see what I'm saying? So after they said they couldn't do anything, then they cut it 50%. Instead of working with people and for people, they started making the people subservient to them. So anytime you see that happen, things will start crumbling quickly because the transaction is not mutually beneficial. Anytime anytime you go out and you get the deal of a lifetime and you talk somebody down to where they've made no money at all, whatever you've gotten is going to crumble.
Yeah, because they don't have any way to keep it up.
It was not a win-win.
Everybody has to make money.
And you can. The problem is when one person or a group of people feel like they've got to go in and basically just cut everything out to get what they want, and that never works. It never works. It may work for a month or 2 or 6 months, but it doesn't hold. And back to the Dansby Swanson thing, that is kind of what I'm getting at with this. You've got to invest in order to get a return, and you've got to see the inherent value in something instead of saying,
and
"Well,
you can't
I'm
be
not
short-sighted."
We're this team, and we're not paying. That's not what we do. Well, let me tell you something. There's a lot of Braves that are pissed about 2 things: Freddie Freeman. It's going to take Atlanta Braves fans years to get over that. Okay, and now Swanson.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Richie said that Bali carries ACC games, the Braves, the Hornets, and the Canes. Andrew said one of the few things that we can agree on is our dislike for Paul Feinbaum. And Andrew said if he keeps saying that if he keeps kissing the butt of the Alabama elephant, sooner or later that thing's going to sit on him.
God, he's
I
already
would buy a
enough.
ticket. I would buy a ticket for that. I'm not a fan. Milton said, from what he's seen, the new bases look like pizza boxes.
Yeah, it's awful.
But didn't they realign them so that the extra is outside the baseline, like down first and stuff? We talked about that so the runner could stay and not be in the baseline.
I don't know. No,
that's why we're talking.
No, that's a double first base that they should have anyway, but they've basically gone to 18 inches on the bases, so it looks like like a Domino's extra large pizza box sitting out there. And
excellent.
Laney, 3 inches is 3 inches. So if you do it at every base, oh God.
I just thought I'd bring it up.
Oh man.
I always like to keep you guessing. Go ahead. Have another Diet Mountain Dew.
So that's a total of 12 whatevers.
Yeah.
Which is a foot clock. You're awful.
Go ahead. I understand. Okay. We're all in this together.
So anyway, the pitch clock. The pitch clock's another thing because now we're going to have instant replay to see if they got the pitch off it.
Right.
I mean, the insanity is just, instead of being reasonable and saying, hey, let's speed the game up, we'll give them this much time, let the umpire control it. They got a clock on the field.
Now, let me tell you something. Now, and you may argue with me on this one, but I think of all the sports, all the major league sports, that when rule changes are implemented, baseball is one of the greatest envelope pushers, manipulators to try to not conform to that rule.
Because they're most effective, because it is a condensed playing field in a condensed environment where you have to have 8 people in play, only one person out of play, which is your catcher. They're making up all this stuff and they're doing all this. I mean, so many of these things defy logic. But see, the game was based on the skill level of 150 years ago with the layout of the field. Okay, today's skill level is so much. It's like NFL football.
Does baseball need an overhaul?
Yes.
In the game?
Yes, but the problem is I'm a traditionalist.
But you can throw that out because they don't pay attention to that
that's
anymore.
That's what I'm saying. As a traditionalist, it is very hard for me to look and say, golly, 90 feet between the bases is as near close to perfect in life as you can get. those 90 feet between those bases. But what's real is they're going to have to expand everything.
Because the athletes have changed. The equipment's changed.
Okay, so, yeah, it's kind of like NBA
Going back to what I said, baseball is one of the last ones to really make adjustments and changes based on how the environment has changed.
30 years ago, they flirted with putting the basket at, 11 feet?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. When the game was created and then modified, all right, let's be clear, modified some, 10 feet was the standard. Well, now we got people, David Thompson could literally, people don't believe, he could literally put money on top of the backboard.
I saw him do it.
Okay.
Eddie Holbrook's camp at Gardner Webb.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He could literally do these things. And the point is, there's two things that have to happen, and they're either or. Number one, the offensive side of things have to adapt and will always lag a little bit to the defensive side of things. That's why they always make the rule changes for offense first and whatever in any sport, okay? Or you've got to modify the playing area.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL football field is too small for the speed of the game.
Agreed.
It needs to go more. I don't know if the Canadian, 50, whatever, 5 yard, whatever it is, how many ever meters this way and that way.
And a 20-yard end zone.
Yeah, they got one in Canada, like a 20-meter, 20-yard end zone, or something like that.
End zones are 20 yards,
right. Now, do I think it needs to go that deep? No. But the point is, things have just gotten to the point where the athletes, because of science and technology and training, have mastered the current environment. So much that there's really not much progression that can happen. Last year was the least amount of points scored, I believe, in NFL football. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Well,
or lowest average.
Right. Well, that's what, the lowest average. So why is that? It's not because the defense has the upper hand. It's because people are trying to implement things in the game of football from an offensive standpoint that are not sustainable. They're trying to put people in positions instead of having a tailback and a fullback, which the game, the field, and dynamics was made for. Now they don't want any back there, and they just want to stand out there and play basketball on the football field. Mm-hmm. I'm not criticizing that, but that is not sustainable. It is for high impact, quick strike, dynamic things, but that doesn't lead to success. It just leads to high impact, dynamic, quick strike.
Well, as you said, talking about being a traditionalist, but a lot of people don't like to make changes that you can't compare to 40 years ago.
See,
like
I don't.
Field dimensions and those kind of things. But here's the thing. We've said this all the time. When you talk about GOATs, the greatest of all time, you can't make that time span any longer than eras because the athletes, the equipment, the field conditions, all this stuff changed. The philosophy of the game changed. So you can't compare it. Like, for example, when a lot of people are talking about you've got Tom Brady as the GOAT. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to always look at Joe Montana as the GOAT because of what he accomplished in his era. Mm-hmm. If he had Tom Brady's rules, he would have probably been even better. You know what I'm saying?
The reason Brady has his rules is because the game adapted out of that. That had nothing to do with Montana. That had everything to do with, the rules committee and them trying to make football more offensive when, in fact, they've hurt the game because they've tried to make the position that is the most important from a distribution standpoint the main focus of doing everything, and that can't. And
another example,
not sustainable.
LeBron broke Kareem's scoring record. Okay, career scoring record. But here's the deal: do you know how many 3-pointers Kareem had in a career? One. He accumulated his title with only 2-point shots
and no shot clock or a small they had a shot clock.
Yeah, but it was 2-point shots. Yeah. If you look at LeBron's total, it's a whole different thing, and so you can't compare from era to era. I would like to see changes made so that it kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I don't want to say competition, but too many things like in football right now are predetermined because they've mastered the infrastructure that they're playing on. with the yards.
Agreed.
The
Look at the Super Bowl.
hash marks.
The Super Bowl's a great example of why the game skewed to offense.
Yeah.
It's a great example of it.
But,
you know how many holding plays Kansas City didn't have called on them in that game when they were protecting Mahomes? Mm-hmm. I went back and watched it. Now, were they called? No, so technically they're not holding. But holding's holding.
That's what my wife says when she's speeding. If she doesn't get caught, she's not speeding.
That's right.
Just saying. Yeah, Jerry Rice and LT. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor, they agree with me
about
on
what?
That. Montana is the GOAT. But the other side of that is they're from that generation.
No, that's right. I have no problem with that. But I completely and utterly, I you know, and everybody has their opinion or whatever. But I don't see there's any way that, I mean, Brady is hands down.
Yeah.
To me, when I look at the body of work and what he did with what he had under the conditions in which he did it.
Yeah.
And people say, well, the Tuck rule and all that. No. Brady didn't make that rule. He played by him. People say, no, he cheated and did this and did that. Let me tell you something. If you don't think footballs have been catered to what the quarterback likes, you got your head in the sand, okay? Deflated or anything else. Let me tell you something.
Everybody pushes the rules in every sport.
It's like baseballs. You know, you pick the seams back when you got a power pitcher, all right? So the seams are a little higher, so it's harder when you make contact with the ball. You're actually hitting more seam than you are the flat part of the ball.
Right.
Okay? There's all kinds of things you can do. So the thing that irritates me is when somebody looks at somebody that has significance and greatness and says, oh, they didn't do it the right way, when you have all these other people. It's like the steroid issue in baseball was years ago. All right, when Grant was in college, that's all everybody did. You know, it was around him. It was, you know, all this stuff in minor league ball, everything. And people want to take the high road and say, well, you shouldn't do. You ain't got to. Hey, look, if that's the way you feed your family, why do you care? Why does anybody care? Well, it's the integrity of this. Now,
nope.
Okay, so now we're getting into that.
You know, I've had this, and NASCAR starts this weekend.
Come on.
And I've said this for a long time about NASCAR. I have said, you know, they got all these rules and air spoiler, height, and angles and all that kind of stuff. I have always said, all right, everybody's going to have a basic block of X amount of cubic inches.
Right.
Everybody gets that. How you bore it out, you want to bore it out till it's newspaper thin walls and think it'll hold together for 500 miles, you the man. If this guy doesn't think so, I just think I'm going to give you the basic tool. Whatever you want to do with it, I don't care. Bring it. Let's go play. And the same thing, when you're in sports, you push the envelope. If you're not pushing the envelope and taking it to the limit, you're not competing, in my opinion.
Well, and that's the whole premise is, you know, there's a game within a game that goes on anytime you play the game. It's situational, right? Baseball, one pitch at a time, one out at a time, one inning at a time, one situation at a time, one game at a time. All right? It's like that in basketball and football, just in different scale. The issue is when you don't let things naturally occur, all right? The market, whatever setting, when I mean market, whether it be the football field, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, whatever, the market will dictate the direction of how things are moving. The manipulation of outside forces that are infecting the marketplace. Wow, this kind of sounds like politics too, right? That infects the marketplace, okay, sporting arena, is what causes major dysfunction in results once they're implemented. That's why football cannot score as much right now, because they've tried to skew this holding call. Yes, it was holding, okay, and people are going to take the high road, okay, and say, well, it was holding. We're not, one play doesn't determine the outcome of the game. That is all true. It's a culmination of things. But what about the things that aren't called? Okay, we're not. There's a give and a take. It's like the reason that the Eagles were bumping when they were motioning
Right.
in and then going quick back. The reason the Eagles were bumping coverage is because most of the time, under the rules, when you motion in, you go straight across the field instead of motioning in and go straight back out on an arrow route. That's the old Green Bay Packer two-point conversion
But
play.
the thing is,
Okay?
had that
That's all
call,
it is.
if that call
In a
had not
spread formation.
occurred at the point of the game where it
Yes.
did, it would not be a topic.
That's what I'm saying. But it's a culmination. That's why I don't like swallowing the whistle at the end of the game. Do your job all the way
That's
through.
right.
Be
That's,
consistent.
you have to.
But they don't.
I know.
I mean, you'll say, well, we're going to let him play it out. The dude goes up for a shot, gets creamed.
Yeah.
And then he misses it, and the buzzer goes off. Everybody gets off the floor. No, we let the players decide. No, the guy fouled the guy.
If it's a foul, it's a foul.
But
If it's a foul with 2 seconds into the game, it's a foul at 2 seconds left.
That's why I have a problem
in
with
the
this
game.
pitch clock. Okay? Have a problem with this. The umpire should have one and should give the 5-second warning to the guy, you got to go. And if he doesn't, he stops, he calls time. His little thing goes off, he calls time, it's a ball. Instead, they're going to put all theatrics up there and make it where, did he get the pitch off in time? Did he do this? Let's go back to instant replay. Hey, let's throw a challenge flag in baseball to see if he got – now we're going to waste more time going back and reviewing
It'll be
if
interesting.
the thing got done or not. Plus, they're making the bases look like pizza boxes. Hey, you can probably go over to him and touch first base, open the thing up, and get out a couple of pepperoni pizzas and put it back in. You can have a snack while you're on first base.
Let me give you those rule changes.
Unbelievable, dude.
Pitch timer.
Unbelievable.
The pitch timer is 15 seconds with the bases empty, 20 seconds with runners on. A hitter gets 1 timeout per plate appearance.
No problem.
Must be in the batter's box with 8 seconds left.
Lady,
meaning
this is the problem with that. Let's stop right there.
Okay.
The umpire, just because you call time, he doesn't have to grant it. He or she, I'm sorry, doesn't have to grant it. Mm-hmm. Okay? They don't have to give you that time. How many times you see the guy sitting there and go, time,
Yeah.
and he doesn't give it to him, and the guy backs out, and it's whatever, or he stands up there, and hell, I did it and hit a home run one time. Mm-hmm. And I just stood there because I thought I had, and he called time. I said, time out, please. Time out. I had new contacts in, whatever. Called time. The guy pitched it. I just swung at it and hit it out of the park. I just stood there because I thought I had time. Fish was like, don't you stand there and show him. I'm like, dude, I don't do that. I called time. He's like, I didn't give you time. That's a home run. I said, okay, I'll take it. The point is, well, I did that striking out too, but the point is, they're implementing all this stuff when the umpires can control all of it to start off with.
But is the problem the umpires won't?
No,
A lot of people would argue umpires already have too much power.
That's not true. That's not true. They have too much authority. Okay?
Well,
There's
you
a
have to explain
difference.
the difference in that.
Huh?
You have to explain the difference in that. What's the difference?
Power
between
is
and
perception of something.
authority? Okay.
All right? So,
Is
when
the end
someone
result
looks
not the same with
powerful-
both of those?
No.
Okay.
Power is perception. Authority is you are the ultimate in this. When an umpire displays power, there's a problem. When they display authority in the right context, then things are okay and the game can move without them really being seen. There's a difference. When umpires are powerful, they want to sit there and argue and go back at them like, you shut your mouth over another word and I'm throwing you out. That's a power trip. That's not authority. Authority is, hey, coach, need to calm down. One more time, I'll restrict you to the dugout. Thank you. He doesn't raise his voice. He does his job professionally. But you have too many people in professions that are immature that want to sit there and get a screaming match with somebody to show that they're the bigger guy. In college baseball, it happened with UNC Asheville. We're sitting down there playing Coastal down there, and the first base umpire, he missed a call. That's okay. It happens. And I'm at first base. I'm like, can you please ask for help? He's like, don't you ever. I said, dude, nobody could hear us. Why are you hollering at me? You were out of position. Our guy was safe. Can you please ask for help? No, I'm not asking for anything. I was like, then you're not doing your job. Besides, why are you hollering at me?
You couldn't appeal to the home plate?
He could.
You couldn't.
No, I can't because I'm an assistant coach. But I wanted to let the umpire know, hey, jackass, because he was acting like that. You're out of position. I have no problem with people making mistakes if they're giving an honest effort. It's going to happen. It's like anything in life. If it's an honest mistake or an honest effort or the intent was right, it's okay. We'll get through it.
Right.
I can live with that. I can't live with that. Can't live with it.
Yeah.
Not going to. Same thing in high school baseball. If they weren't giving me a good effort and my kids a good effort behind the plate for all the time and effort and energy and focus that my guys invested into themselves, into the game, and the amount of energy and time and focus and effort that I put into those players, if I wasn't getting a good If I wasn't getting anything good back there or out in the field, I'll let them know.
Yeah.
I'll let them know because, look, it's a part-time job.
When I argue
it is
with
my
officials,
full-time career in life. Okay? Same thing in Legion. I'm not watching that.
When I argued with officials, it was
watching
because you weren't giving my kids a fair
That's what
deal.
I'm
It's
saying.
just
The
that
best
simple.
effort. Now,
Not about wins and losses, but you weren't giving my kid
you know how
an
to start this
opportunity
off?
to
You know how
do
to
it.
start off with them? And instead of fussing at them, I'd walk out and say, "Are you okay?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Is everything okay? Did you have a good day? Did something happen? Whatever." I said, "What? You know, nothing's wrong. Why are you?" Well, the reason I'm asking is I don't think that you're giving us your best effort. Okay, and I wanted to make sure before I got in your that I wanted to make sure you were okay.
I didn't do it that night.
No. I learned to do it. When I was younger, I did not. That's why I was in the
just
dugout
never
half the
learned.
game and not allowed to come out.
I just never learned.
But the point is with these rules, Lanny, they're going back. They're going back to these things and trying to put lipstick on a pig. When you already have the authoritative, mandates out there by the official. The problem is power and authoritarian are the same thing. Authoritative is there's natural consequences when you don't abide by the rules. Authoritarian is there's only one way to do it, and that's my way, and we're going to do this, and
Yeah.
I don't care
Yeah.
what you got to say about it. I have clients that are major league. Back up. I have clients. I know people that are professional and collegiate umpires. How about that? Okay. And friends that I've had for years, okay, through maybe the same age or a little older, a little younger, that I have watched through the ranks, start in high school, worked their way up college, pro ball, everything, okay? The one thing that I can tell you, the reason they are where they are, with the exception of Joe, all right, who's the the official out of Greenville, North Carolina, right? See if Richie knows his last name, all right? All right, I'm sure he does. But the reason they have obtained the level that they obtained because they were authoritative and not authoritarian, all right? They would collaborate with the coach and the players to make sure the setting was safe, that it was consistent. That doesn't mean they don't have disagreements, but that everybody was on the same page. I have to make the calls as the official. Yes, I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to give you my very best effort. And there's going to be times when you don't like that effort, and that's okay. But I'm going to give you what I've got every time I come out. If there is an issue, I'm going to let you know about it. Same thing if you'll do that for me. That's why they obtained the level that they've obtained. And that's what you have to do. And the problem is Major League Baseball wants to look what we're doing. We're making it better. When all they got to say is, hey, guys and ladies that are calling, let's follow these mandates.
Well, I've always said a lot of times rules are created because they can't get the rules that are in place enforced, so they come up with another rule to see if they can force you to really do what you're supposed to start with. Rule change number 2, shift restrictions. 2 infielders must be positioned on either side of second base when pitch is released. All 4 infielders must have both feet within the infield when pitcher's on the rubber.
Terrible.
I'm going to be honest. I like that one.
Terrible.
I like that one.
Terrible. It's like saying in football you can't run you can't run a 2-7-2. You can't run a 3-4. You can't do that.
You don't think it changes the game too much?
I think it's terrible that they have to make that rule because it's not forcing the hitters to do what the hitters need to do.
Right, which goes back to what I said before. You implement another set of rules because you can't get them to do it the way you want them to do it.
Right now, the league is being infected by proactivity, proaction, proactive. It's being infected. All of our leagues are. Regulation on things, let's don't get into let's just talk about sports, all right? But it's gonna sound like other stuff too. Regulation on certain things should really be substituted for guidelines. And when those guidelines aren't met, then this is the punishment for it. There's too much power, regulation power. It should not be that way. It should be a collaborative effort between the implementing rules, the people that implement the punishment if the rules aren't followed, umpires, hey, you're out or you're safe, whatever, and then let things naturally occur because they will rise to the top. What's happening is they are actually defacing the game by making the bases bigger, by putting the shift rule in, okay, because it's not allowing the hitters to adapt to what the defense is doing. You're not letting things naturally occur. You're mandating and dictating how they occur. That's authoritarian power, and that's not good.
Let me give you this. Home plate did not change.
It will. Not this
Distance
year, but it will.
Reduced by 3 inches from home to first and home to third, 4.5 inches from first to second, second to third.
They're going to have to make the plate smaller instead of bigger because the number of people are throwing 100 miles an hour. They're going to have to make strike zones smaller.
But they can't get them to call strikes now.
What happens if you've got a race car and you put a 100
Robot.
Okay. If you got a Ferrari and all you do is drive 180 miles an hour and you never slow down, eventually what's the motor going to do?
It's going to turn loose.
Yeah, right. It's going to explode, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna, turn loose. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm not familiar with racing, but that's good. All right. But that's why the car has brakes and it has a steering wheel. You know, it's got gear shift or, drive, reverse, all that, right? Because things have to change direction based on the natural activity of what goes around. When you start trying to make race cars go 180 miles an hour or a Ferrari go 180 miles an hour nonstop, then when you manipulate the rules, they're going to have to back off the pedal a little bit. So what that's going to do is increase the ability for hitters to hit because the strike zone will be more narrow. They don't have to look outside the box as much. So
you think making if they made the strike zone smaller, it would increase hitting?
Yes, tremendously, because there would be more contact because pitchers would have to focus more on throwing the ball across the plate and throwing it hard. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a skew to what's going on.
Yeah. I'll give you another quick example of that before we get out of here. I have said this, and we both play golf. I'm sorry, we both go to golf courses and participate. We don't really play golf, but I have always said that where they keep missing the boat, and here again, they're manipulating the rules and the environment to try to make it more competitive because these guys just, they used to call it tiger proofing golf courses.
Yeah.
Because they could hit so long.
Yeah.
My thing has been they need to change the ball on the pro courses where it doesn't go as far so that there's more of a more about shot placement rather than just pure power. And
right.
Because that's where baseball has gone. Baseball is not about small ball anymore. It's about the long ball. And that's one of the reasons that I don't like baseball.
Well, it has gone away from.
I like to see runs manufactured.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The definition of manufacturing run, what was 40 years ago and what's today is completely different, right? So, manufactured run back in the day was you get a guy on, he steals second, or you bunt him over, get a base hit to the outfield, he scores, right? Or you got a double leading off the inning, no outs, you bunt him over to third, fly ball or ground ball. He scores. Mm-hmm. That's manufacturing run or safety squeeze
right.
or suicide.
Bobby Dale, one of the best of them.
Okay. Yeah, right. Manufacturing runs, right? Just baseball stuff. Okay. Today, manufacturing run is Acuna at the plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's a drive deep left center field. It's way out of here. That's a manufacturing run today. So it's exciting, but I don't know if this is an intense of a feeling. It's a burst of energy instead of sitting on your seat waiting to see if they're going to squeeze that run in or bunt him over and get a base hit to win.
I like that way better.
Well, I'm just saying.
Now,
that's
Bob has a
at.
suggestion, and I'm going to give you one that just quickly. Bob says move the mound and the bases back 5 feet. Now, what he's saying is expand the infield, which slows the pitch down, and it's a longer space between base pads because you've got such faster athletes today than you had.
But nobody steals because the catchers are so quick.
Right.
That's why nobody in today's game will get close to doing what Ricky Henderson does. And that's to Bob's point because the game.
But if the mound was back further, which means the ball gets to home plate later, and it's.
You know what the missing topic has been, not for us, but just in baseball in general, is how good the catchers are today.
Oh, my God, the catchers are unbelievable.
Okay.
I'd rather watch a catcher than anything.
Yeah, and that's where kind of all of this is, because pitchers used to use slide step or knee to knee when they were in the stretch. They wouldn't get leg kicks and then throw home. Today, because the catchers are 1-8, 1-7 from home to second, right, on release time, then the pitchers can still be power pitchers. And to Bob's point, that's the problem. My suggestion is you narrow the plate down, all right? You get rid of all these rules that you're implementing and let the umpires be authoritative instead of authoritarian. Talk to them about the differences between the two so they understand how to manage a game instead of dictate a game. Let the players and coaches determine the outcome in most cases based on management of the game as the official instead of dictation. They're putting in dictates. This is not going to work out well for the game. My guess is in less than 5 years, a lot of these things will be ditched and brought back.
Well, and as probably so, this rule should have always been changed, okay?
Okay.
This one should have always been changed.
Yep.
I've hated it from the beginning
Okay.
because it only applies in one part of the field.
Okay.
Richie said XFL, USFL will change the fumble rule out of the end zone. If the offense fumbles the ball in the field of play and it goes out of the end zone, the ball will be placed at the spot of the fumble, and the offense retains possession instead of it going to the defense on the 20-yard line. That should be no different than you fumble the ball out of bounds on the 5-yard line. It doesn't go to the defense. It goes back to the offense.
So I have a different way of looking at that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that Richie's wrong or you're wrong. The end zone is a scoring mechanism. Out of bounds is out of bounds. So basically what they're doing is they're taking the value of the end zone out of the game by not allowing the fumble to go through the end zone and then turned around to the other team. The other team has to protect their end zone. When that ball leaves the field of play through their end zone, they should be awarded the ball. That's the problem I have with it. I'm not saying y'all are wrong. I'm saying that's the way that I look at it. I certainly understand your point of view. I think, was it Richie? I think that is a very valid point, but I look at that a little differently, especially having been a defensive guy for the last 8-10 years at the game, right? I've always looked at it from an offensive mindset. I can kind of see why that rule is there to protect the value of the end zone. But
I can see it from that standpoint, but it's almost like it's a double standard the way that you're interpreting that rule based on where it's at. And they're doing it based on what you said, the value of the end zone.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what just to be clear, USFL and XFL are doing that when they start, right?
Yeah.
That's what they So we'll see how that goes.
Right, and that will
kind of
determine
measure things, and then the NFL will have a measuring stick.
Which I've always said that needs to be a feeder.
Oh, no, I agree. I think it's wonderful. But it gives good discussion like we've had today.
Yeah.
And, Lane, there's a lot of great things, and sports is such a great rallying cry for so many of us to get away from the real-life, day-to-day things. And, sometimes when we talk about things and I get a little worked up, it's because I am passionate about how important it is and has been in just my life personally, but then those around me too. People that I'm very dear friends with, and our friends and listeners.
Sports,
friends here.
Yeah,
it's very important. So when I talk about who really cares, what I'm saying is I'm not discounting what people are saying. What I'm trying to do is make sure that we bring clarity, in an overall, look at things versus just sticking the glue of something because somebody else, a narrative, right? Let's look at the holistic picture and see what makes things better. Are we really focused on how much somebody makes and nobody should be able to make that amount of money? Or are we focused on the best value quality product we can have that the market will bring and then enjoying that product? And that, I think the NFL, NBA, especially NBA, Major League Baseball, especially them too, if they can get back to those things, which our younger generation players are really doing a good job of, they're staying away from things that, that may cause some angst, right? I see NASCAR starting to come back around with some of the smaller tracks and local. If we can kind of get back, and things swing, pendulum swing, they don't go 100% this way, 100 that way. That's the way our country's set up. It's 75-25, 75-25. It's never 50-50, right? It's always a momentum shift. But the point is, if we can get back to those things, that's where the true enjoyment for the fan and for the follower and for the true fan experience comes from. It's not from a narrative or a certain point of view. It's from letting things naturally occur and ride themselves out, right, by doing the right thing for the right reasons. And hopefully, our sports era will be getting back to that for a few years before it starts taking the swing the other way again.
Now, because I'm not that well versed and can put thoughts together like that, that was beautiful. So I'll leave you with this. Since we're talking about differences of opinions and how we view things and those type things, let me leave you with this. Opinions are like your rear end. We've all got one, but they're all different. So have a great day.